buddy JC here with another T&I toy review, and today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming Marvel Legends Infinite Series Spider-Man Chameleon figure. Now this figure comes packaged in the same style of Spider-Man Legends figures we've seen in the past. You've got the Spider-Man logo up top because this is one of Spider-Man's main villains. You've got the figure clearly displayed in the window box packaging, and you've got the Marvel Infinite Series logo down below. On the sides you just have images of Spider-Man, and then up top you have a little Spider-Man logo, again because this is one of Spider-Man's main villains. On the back it has a look at both Kraven and the Chameleon because these are swap figures in this series, even though both figures are shipping in the same assortment. They're known as the Savage Force, and you've got a little brief bio for them in multiple languages. And then down below we see all the figures that make up this series and the Rhino, which is the Build-A-Figure in this wave. Okay, so let's get this figure open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. So first off, the figure comes with a number of accessories, including 2 alternate heads to mimic his chameleon abilities, which actually kind of makes this almost like getting 3 figures in one, which is kind of cool in my opinion. But we'll get back to the heads in just a moment. He comes with 3 weapons. The first one is, it's kind of to me it looks like a futuristic type weapon, almost like a futuristic type Tommy gun. I don't know if this is pulled from something else or not. I don't recognize it, but it doesn't quite look like it's something that fits with Chameleon or Hammerhead or J. Jonah Jameson. It does have a detachable, I guess it's supposed to be a magazine. That's at least what it reminds me of. That's why it kind of reminds me of a future Tommy gun. And then it's all black. It's got some pretty decent detailing. It's got a little bit of red here on the barrel for like a light futuristic lighted up effect. And again, I'm not sure if this is a reuse from another figure, but again, I can't place it, but it just doesn't quite look like Chameleon to me. The other 2 weapons I really like. He comes with the pistol. This is just all gray, but this pistol reminds me of the one that the old Toy Biz 5-inch figure came with, and I think you would see him used in the old Spider-Man cartoon back in the 90s. So this one definitely seems to fit Chameleon in my opinion. It's kind of has a ray gun kind of look to it, but again it just reminds me of the weapon I remember from the old figure and in cartoon. And then he comes with this kind of Tommy gun machine gun. I forget what kind of machine gun this is, but it again kind of reminds me of a Tommy gun, except it's just got a regular magazine as opposed to the circle magazine. And this is probably made more for the when you have the Hammerhead head sculpt on the figure, but you know it works for both Chameleon as well. But I like how they kind of gave weapons for like Hammerhead as well as just Chameleon, so that's a nice touch. So the heads are the coolest thing about this figure. Again, you know, he comes with his standard Chameleon head. Now this is the all white head, and I like it's all white, but they've got some blue wash in it, so it gives it some added detail. And then on his mouth he's got some yellow, and then you know on his eyes they've painted in the pupils and he's almost like some eyebrows. So I like how this mask looks, and it captures the overall look of the Chameleon, I think. Now his neck is regular skin color, so the skin tone on the neck is good. Same with his hands, and this allows you to switch out the head, so you can pop off the head. It's just on a ball hinge joint, and then he comes with this J. Jonah Jameson head because Chameleon has been known to impersonate J. Jonah Jameson in the past. And the detail on this head's really nice. He's got the gray hair with the black flat top and the little mustache, and he's got that kind of like yelling, screaming, angry look that you would expect from J. Jonah Jameson. So I like the head sculpt. This one was really sculpted nicely. Now he does have a little black mark on his forehead, which is kind of like a little bleed from the hair, but nothing too major. Otherwise the paint applications are pretty good on this head sculpt. So you can pop that on. And so technically this is the Chameleon impersonating J. Jonah Jameson, but you know if you want a J. Jonah Jameson figure, you know this basically would make a good, you know, even though technically it's not J. Jonah, this figure would, you know, if you wanted to have a J. Jonah Jameson figure in your collection, you could basically use this figure as such. So, this figure, if you really, like these characters, you might want to end up getting 3, so you can have a Chameleon, a J. Jonah Jameson, and then the third head is Hammerhead. So another Spider-Man villain, the gangster Hammerhead. And then again, Hammerhead's basically just a guy who wears a suit. It's probably a pinstripe suit would probably be better suited. Out of the 3 heads, this is probably my least favorite of the heads. It looks, not quite right on this body. I remember Hammerhead being kind of a bulkier type character, so it's not a perfect fit. But again, it's kind of cool that we're getting that third head sculpt. And the head, Hammerhead's got the big forehead. I think he's supposed to have like metal plates in his head, if I remember correctly. So, and his hair's done all black, and the skin tones are good. He's got some wrinkles on his forehead, which look pretty good. Again, like with the Jonah, he's got a little bit of black that look from the hair that's kind of washed on the ear. Again, not too major, but just want to point that out. So as for the rest of the figure, the body, the hands, and everything is just a reuse of that Agent Coulson, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. figure from the Toys R Us 3-pack. So this is just a reuse of that same body mold, only repainted. So instead of the black suit, he's got a dark blue suit, and instead of the light blue tie with stripes, he's got a very dark, it's not quite black, but a grayish, very dark grayish blue tie, and then a black shirt as opposed to the white shirt. Now my tie, it doesn't look like they painted the underside of the tie. The underside is a lighter blue, and some of that lighter blue is kind of bled over to the front of the tie, or at least the side. So again, nothing major, but just want to point that out. But that tie is made with that same kind of vinyl material like Agent Coulson's tie, and it's not like sculpted or glued onto the figure other than up at the neck, so it kind of hangs loose down in front of him. And the coat, just like with Coulson, is you could remove the coat part, but the sleeves are sculpted on the arms. So you can kind of pull the coat away from the figure if you want. And the paint applications on the rest of the figure are pretty basic. Again, for the suit, most of the suit's just a dark blue. There's not really much in the way of kind of wash or paint detail like that. And the shirt's just all black, and the shoes are all black. And the skin tone on the hands and the neck are, as I mentioned before, are pretty good. Not too bright or anything. But very simple paint applications on this one. So besides the 2 heads that come with the figure, some of the other alternate heads we've been getting in the Marvel Legends line you can use on this figure. Not all of them. Like I tried the Steve Rogers head, and it doesn't really fit the hole in this head. It seems to be a little bit small for this ball joint, so you can kind of stick it on there if you want like a Steve Rogers in a suit, but it doesn't stay on there that good. You can, if you want to have like Peter Parker with his mask pulled up, that one fits better. So if you want him impersonating Spider-Man or Peter Parker with his Spider-Man mask on, from that Spider-Man figure from the last Spider-Man Legends wave, or even impersonating the Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson. So, you can kind of play around with some of these alternate heads that we've been getting in the Marvel Legends line with this figure if you want, just for additional people for him to impersonate. And oddly enough, though, even though the Agent Coulson and Chameleon share the same body, apparently the ball joint is a little bit different size between the 2 figures. So the Chameleon head fits loosely on the Coulson figure, so you could set it on top there if you wanted to give Chameleon a black suit. But the Coulson head does not really fit, again, like the Steve Rogers head. The ball is a bit too big for the hole on the head, so that one does not really, you can't really get it to fit tightly on this figure. Okay, and this figure stands at almost exactly 6 inches tall. Again, he's the same height as the Agent Coulson figure. And here he is next to that Spider-Man figure from the last Spider-Man Legends wave, and Spider-Man is maybe a little bit taller than Chameleon. Okay, so articulation on this figure is the same as the Agent Coulson figure, but we'll go over it real quick just in case you don't have that figure. The head is on a ball hinge joint so he can look left and right without any problem, and he's got good up and down movement with the head. Arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint at the shoulder, so he can get his arm out good. And he's got good rotation there at the shoulder. He's got the bicep swivel. He's got a double hinged elbow, so he's got good bending at the elbow. And then he's got the swivel at the wrists, and he's got good up and down movement with the wrists. He's got the crunch joint at the midsection, so he can look down, and even with the jacket, he can still look up pretty good. He's got the waist swivel. He's got legs are attached with your standard ball joints, so he can do the splits about that much on this one, and he can get his leg forward pretty good. He can't really do his leg back on this one. He's got a thigh swivel. He's got the double jointed knee. He's got the hinges at the feet, so he's got good down movement, not really much in the way of up movement, and he does have ankle pivot. And then 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. Overall, I really like the figure. I like the Chameleon head. I like the J. Jonah Jameson head. I think they both look good on this body. The paint applications are pretty simple. The Hammerhead head sculpt looks good. I don't think it looks quite as good on this body. First of all, I think Hammerhead should have like a pinstripe suit, a gray pinstripe suit. And then I just think his body should be maybe a little bit stoutier or bulkier. That's kind of how I envision Hammerhead and how I remember him. But it's still pretty cool that we're getting all 3 head sculpts. The weapons match up nicely to both the Chameleon and to the Hammerhead figure, which I think is cool. And it's almost like getting 3 different figures in one, which I think is really nice. So this figure, along with the rest of the Rhino wave, should start hitting shelves here in the US pretty soon. I believe it's started to hit overseas already, so that usually means that, you know, it's only a few weeks away before we'll start seeing them here in the United States. We'll have a full gallery of images for this figure over at marvelousnews.com. There's a link in the description below. And as always, you know, leave a comment, let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And we'll be doing reviews for the rest of this wave over the course of this week, so stay tuned for that. And until next time, I'll check you later.